Hello, and welcome to this weird thing that I've decided to do. Um, so I've been watching a lot of wrestling lately, and I wanted to make a podcasty type thing. Um, and I had planned over the next day or so to edit the unboxing for Cadia stands and make a video of the at least my plans, what I want out of Ready Aim Roll in 2022. However, I can't find the footage for the KDS Stands unboxing, and a lot of things have happened that have meant I might as well do this wrestling podcast thing now. Okay, so I'm not going to get into the weeds with some things that I'm going to mention here. If you want to know about Vince McMahon and the misconduct allegations, there's a word before misconduct, but I think if I used that word on YouTube, this channel would just not exist, even as small as we are. Just so I'm just playing it safe. So yeah, if you want to get into all the gross, like really gross details of what Vince McMahon has done over his years and his retirement. He retired. He retired last year in the same way someone would go, "You're fired." No, you can't fire me. I quit. Basically, that's what happened last year. Even though he is a something like majority stakeholder in the company. But yeah. Needless to say, bad things happened. He stepped away both in the company and as part of the his sort of on-screen persona type thing. Um, as much as he really tried to hang on to that on-screen bit for a while. But yeah, all of that happened last year. In mid-December, he came back. Basically, he basically held his company to ransom. Basically saying, if any TV rights deals are made, or more importantly, if any bid to buy the company is made, nothing will happen without me. Even, he basically wanted back on the board, even though the rest of the board members basically went, "No, that's bad. You are a shit magnet right now. Go away." But again, he is, I think, if memory serves, he has something like a 39% stake in WWE. So he has a lot of power. So TLDR, he shuffled some board members around, and a lot of it sort of caused a lot of things to happen over the last day, like 12 hours ish. And these three things are publicly, like as far as the way they're being reported, are not connected. But as a matter of opinion, I think I don't think it will be too much of a stretch to say at least two of the three things are connected, possibly all three of them. Um, so, first off, Vince McMahon returned to the board of directors for WWE last week. Yeah, came back from his Christmas holidays, Christmas and New Year. Came back, went, all right, lads, I'm back. um, and like I say, there were people on the board who possibly weren't happy with that. So he shuffled things around, brought back some people that he had previously fired because they disagreed with some of his decisions. Um, and yeah, uh, or at least as far as it was reported, for me locally. So I woke up to all of this. I know a lot of guys who I've seen across the internet a lot of guys who report on this sort of stuff for a living. You look at Cultaholic, What Culture, Wrestle Talk. Like a lot of those guys have been up basically all night trying to keep on top of this thing and make sure that they're not missing any details because they're credible news sources. Like if things happen, they want to be on top of the story to make sure people get that story. Whereas I'm quite happy to sit here with at 4 p.m. going, this is what I know, and I mean, most of the sources that I'm using are through What Culture and Wrestle Talk. So I will be putting all the links in the thingy. So yeah, if this is the sort of thing you want more of, like this more chatty, podcasty type thing, do comment, because this is, as I say, this is something I've wanted to do for a while. Excuse me. Anyway, so 3 events in the last now, 14 hours, let's say. So first off, WWE Board of Directors unanimously, I think that's important to mention, unanimously votes to elect Vince McMahon as executive chairman of the board, which is mental. Like, that's huge, I think. Bearing in mind all the stuff that happened that I won't get into. If that's a video that people want, I'll do it. I'll happily rag on that prick. But yeah, the board that at a previous point said, "Hey, no, don't come back. It's probably bad for you. It'll be bad for our stock prices. They'll drop." Even though I think they went up slightly. I think it's just a change in management. Just anytime something major happens, people are talking about it, and that makes share prices go up. So yeah, that happened. Like I don't know a timeline of events here. Like, I'm just reporting how just how I've laid it out, really. Because some things were reported after others, but it could well have been that they happened after. Anyway, so Vince McMahon is now executive chairman of the board, which gives him a lot of power, basically. Like, he already had a lot of power, but now he has even more, especially after effectively retiring earlier last year. And then, I can't say for sure if, like I say, I don't know the timeline. In the same stretch of time, probably, a few hours, WWE is bought by the Saudi Arabia notes um, public investment fund. So this is almost certainly going to be a more in-depth video that I do, because this is something that a lot of people are mentioning. A lot of people are mentioning this public investment fund, but aren't saying hugely what they are. And it's not hard to guess what they are, because they're tied to the Saudi government. A lot of it's based around improving Saudi Arabia's rather dodgy public image, especially in the eyes of the Western world, making it all nice. I likened it to sort of what Qatar did with the World Cup, basically going, "Hey, look at us. We're a friendly place. We're nice and beautiful, and all that." Um, Obviously, no amount of money has been mentioned. In fact, the the nothing from what I can gather is set in stone. Like, a lot of, even now, a lot of it is still sort of hearsay. So it's possible that you know the Saudis and WWE have got together and said, "Hey, let's do this deal," but no, money has changed over. No signatures have been made, so it could possibly all turn around in the next few minutes potentially. Even though it's probably like late at night, early morning for them right now. Um, Early morning? Yeah. I don't know time zones. Anyway, so it could be that another company swoops in and goes, "Hey, we'll do that." But if this deal has gone ahead, I do not see that being likely. Or more accurately, I don't see McMahon and WWE turning down that sort of money. Like, you have to think that this isn't like a standard private company. This isn't you know a private company by private or public trading company buying another public trading company. This is tech. Like I say, I need to do more digging into this, but this is effectively a part of a good chunk of, maybe not a government, but a government affiliated organization. If what little I have read is true, but it's this massive organization swooping in to go, "Hey, we'll buy that. That will be good for our image." Um, so yeah, like I almost 100% will be doing another video looking at this. I don't know if it will be on Ready Aim Roll or if it will be on my own channel, because I can just about get away with talking about wrestling because it's relatively nerdy. I don't know. I don't know if a deep dive into some Saudi government organization is quite what Ron and I had in mind when we went, "Yeah, let's start this YouTube channel." But it's something that I think is interesting, that people, it's being mentioned obviously because this organization is buying WWE, but there's no further explanation than saying, "Hey, they own a football team." I can't remember which. I think the Sun mentioned it because it's British. So I couldn't, say much more on them. And then finally, for this trifecta of just madness for this company, um, Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon's daughter, has resigned from her position, which um, is wild. Like, it's there we go. So, oh, where is it? I had it. Yeah, I yeah. So as I mentioned, when all of this went down last year, um, three people filled quite major roles. Yeah, so she Stephanie McMahon was the CEO of WWE after Vince stepped away as CEO last year, um, and now this all of this has happened, and once again Stephanie has gone, nope, I'm out, I'm done. Um, and to be fair to her, just before all this shit kicked off, she had already said this once last year, but then, like I say, everything kicked off, and it was her, um, Nick Khan, who I don't know hugely about him because, like I say, most of what I've watched and heard and enjoyed over the last year, as far as wrestling, is AEW because it's free, um, and it's good. It's fucking great. But beyond, like, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head without spending 5-10 minutes googling who Nick Khan is. Like, I think he's like the chief brand officer or something for WWE, or probably still is. Um, and then Triple H was the um, head of talent, so he managed all the talent and the head of creative as well. So he did all that. Triple H also, having had some heart difficulties back end of 2021, also stepped away from the company for a bit. And then Vince sort of rearranged all of Triple H's stuff, fired a lot of his mates and his pet projects, basically. So when all this kicked off and Triple H came back, he probably looked around and went, "What the fuck have you done? NXT's got paint on it. What the fuck is that?" that's an inside joke if you watched NXT before. Um, and for a while, they tried to make it colourful and zany, and whereas previously NXT was very much an emulation of a lot of like indie wrestling promotions, where it was a little bit more not not what's the word? It had a bit more oomph to it. So, and then, like I say, Triple H went off. They had this sort of relaunch. They called it NXT 2.0, and it was all colourful and it was weird. Just like it was the black and gold brand for a reason, guys. Why did you spill paint on it? Anyway, excuse me. Knocking the microphone. Anyway, so like I say, with all of this stuff happening, WWE right now is in a bit of turmoil. Not least because over the last few months, with Vince gone from the creative and talent management side of things, a lot of people who previously left WWE and a lot of people who previously avoided WWE have come back. Like a lot of, like I mentioned, a lot of the guys that were fired or left, well, Triple H was away. Triple H then rehired, and in some cases, they just decided, hey, Triple H is actually doing something cool with this company now. Like he's actually made WWE like a place where people want to be. Like over the last few months, there have been tons of news stories basically saying how morale is the highest it has, or realistically ever been, because Vince McMahon is this 77-year-old bloke with the sort of views that you might expect a man in his 70s to have. So, a lot of stuff that is a bit misogynist. Like, I wouldn't say racist because he has pushed a lot of, you know, guys of color, especially, you know, with Saudi Arabia deals and things like that that have been going on. Like they had a deal with the um, Saudi government since 2014, where they you know did things together, and then in 2018 they announced that they'd start doing live events twice a year there, like live televised events. And as I've mentioned, the whole Saudi Arabia thing, like it's a bit rough because the human rights violations, um, women's rights, rights for queer folk. It's just it's a bad like. I'm sure there's you know, like I don't want to badmouth anyone who lives there because I'm sure there's a lot of good people there. Like anytime I if I ever get political and start shitting on a country, I want to reiterate that this is me shitting on the government. Like this isn't me going, hey, these people are shit. This is, you guys are cool. I'm sorry about your government. Just like with Russia, you know, that it's not their problem. It's the government's problem. Anyway, but yeah, all that happened. And then I went on a tangent then, didn't I? But yeah, so all this shit happened. I've completely lost my train of thought. I was talking about Triple H. My brain's fucking. I've not slept. Like I tried, but it just didn't happen. And then I was waiting for my job center appointment, and then I was scrolling through Twitter, just like, fuck me dead, fuck me dead. um, but yeah, a lot of the creative decisions have changed. With Triple H at the helm, that's what I was talking about. With people wanting to go back to WWE. However, at the moment, Vince is has returned purely in a corporate sense. However, this is his baby. So a lot of people, both inside the industry, inside, you know, WWE and people who know their shit don't expect it will be long before Vince gives Triple H a, a bit of a light shove aside, shall we say, um, and takes over at least some aspect of creative control over the product again, which would suck because, like I say, I haven't watched it, but I've watched a lot of stuff on Wrestle Talk and What Culture, and spoken to a lot of people who've kept up with the product, who have said it is the best it has been in decades. Like, it cannot be overstated how much of a difference Triple H has made while he has been in charge of creative and talent. Like, there have been a few things that, maybe haven't worked out quite as much, but that's always going to happen. But anyway, like, I mean, poor fucking William Regal. So massive British wrestler. Uh, January, I think it was, shows up in AEW. So I've mentioned AEW a couple times now. So WWE obviously is the big hot shit in wrestling. And AEW is only a few years old, but because of the people behind it, it exploded from basically being announced to being the second biggest wrestling brand on the planet, to the point where you can, like I say, they've got a rights deal to be broadcast on ITV. Like, more in the UK. In the UK, what accent is that? What the fuck was that? In the UK, there are more people watching AEW than there are WWE, and I think a lot of that again is just because it's on ITV. Yeah, it's on late, like it's a post Watershed program, because it's just, especially AEW, they don't give a shit about splitting people's heads open. So there's quite, well, not regularly, but there's often a lot of blood. Um, so, but even with that restricted time slot, there's still, I imagine, more views than there would be for WWE. Not least because WWE airs live on, or at least I think it does, on, I think it's BT Sports or Sky Sports, and that's at like 1 a.m, whereas I think AEW is like 10, 11 at night, so that's still really late. But again, people are still up at that point. Like, I'd happily stay up for an hour, if I knew, you know, it was on and I had a TV that was tuned in to do it, because I just use the on demand stuff. Like, if I had a TV that was tuned in to take signals, I'd probably watch it. You've got to think that if you're a wrestling fan and you're old enough to be able to stay up that sort of time, you're gonna watch that because it's free, effectively. Whereas obviously with WWE, you've got to pay for Sky, and I think BT Sport is extra. So yeah, like, you can understand why it's like that. But back on track. That's the problem with me and doing these things on my own. I get sidetracked really easily. You might have noticed. But anyway, so those were the big three things that happened. And like I say, are they all connected? Maybe. Are they all separate? I don't think so. Like, I just don't think. Like, I think for whatever reason, Stephanie saw what was happening and went, I'm out. Not at least again with Saudi Arabia having control of WWE, or possibly at least, like I say, it's not written in stone yet, so it's not like some other company could just go, yeah, no, but I don't think they're gonna have the same sort of money to throw around. And speaking of the money, that's the thing. Like, Vince has just swooped in he and walked into this win-win situation. You know, he he's just. I mean, you know, chances are everyone who helped out in that deal is coming off quite nice anyway. So yeah, I do know a lot of people who are not going to be watching WWE going forward, especially if you know this is going if they're going to be owned by a Saudi Arabian organization, because again, just a lot of skeletons in that closet that Saudi Arabia haven't really cared to cover up because they don't think that they're skeletons that need being covering up. Um, and if this deal does go ahead, not only would I, not only do I, and from what I've read, a lot of people within the industry, or those who have industry knowledge, think that there's going to be at least some sort of exodus of viewership. I think there are some people who are just going to stick around because they enjoy the product and they're just not that fucked about the morals, like the morality of that sort of thing. Like, there are going to be some people who stick around just because it's WWE. Yeah. just like with any massive organization being bought, or any controversy really. Like, there's always people who are just like, eh, it's not affecting me directly, which I think is a fucking horrific outlook to have. But I think there will also be some sort of exodus of talent, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. People, both because Vince is back and because of the Saudi Arabia thing. Like, people are just not happy with those two things generally. And as I got sidetracked. I was talking about how William Regal in February came to AEW, and then in like September, October-ish, maybe November, like maybe, and ass end of last year, we decided that he was gonna leave AEW because he was fired by Vince during his regime, and then he came to realize that, hey, like he's like anyone who so words are hard when your brain is just running a mile a minute, especially on no sleep. So Triple H and William Regal, fuck me, are really good buddies. Like, I mentioned NXT earlier. William Regal was a big part of that as well. So they were, tight as anything. So when Regal realized, hang on a minute, my best mate's running the show now. I should probably just go back, and he did. Like, he can't be an on-screen personality for a while, because that's the deal he signed that said, hey, he can go back and be with his mate. If his mate's not doing, running the show again, what's going to happen now? Like, you know, I imagine he'll probably stick around because he signed a contract. But if things just go back to where they were literally this time last year, then what the fuck? But yeah. Just checking the time. Yeah. We've been going half an hour of just me rambling from one topic to another. But yeah, this has been fun. I've enjoyed this. Like I say, I might do some more videos. Specifically, words are hard. I can't remember, like, so it's where is it? Public Investment Fund. That's the one. So yeah, I might make another video maybe tomorrow on what the Public Investment Fund is, because I think that's something that people should know about beyond just they own some things, they're rich, and they're part of Saudi Arabia. Because that's most of what is being said. Like, who are they? What do they do? Why are they so important? And why do they want to own so many things? So yeah, that might be a thing for the future, as well as even though I don't have the unboxing stuff to edit for KDS stands, I'm still gonna make a video of the minis when they're all assembled. As well as that, I more podcasts. I want to do more. Just sit down, talk, just me, the camera, and anyone else on the other side of that. I want to do more. Just sit down, conversational stuff, rather than just going. Here's our box. There's things inside this box. Fucking hell, who'd have thought that, mate? Good on you. You can open a box. Good job. Like, I think it's easy content. Like, it gets views. Except for when it doesn't. And obviously also TTRPG stuff. I want to do more of that. So yeah, this has been the roll up. Like I said at the start. I think I said that at the start. It might have been another take though, let's be honest. If you've got a better idea for a name of this thing, however rare it probably ends up being. Because let's be honest, I'm bad with schedules. If you've got a better idea for the title, dump it in the comments and call me a twat or something. But yeah, I've genuinely enjoyed this. This has been fun, even if it was rambly as hell. But hopefully in future I can get some people on. In fact, I just from thinking about the stuff that I've discussed in this episode, I can think of other wrestling related and wrestling adjacent topics to talk about that maybe aren't news, like just just terms that you hear in wrestling and being a part of like wrestling fandom that aren't explained right away. Like there's terms that I've heard time and time again that I've just assumed, like, okay, I know what that is because I've heard it so many times. I've had context for it, whereas those terms have meanings and history behind them because wrestling is fucking old, guys. So yeah, that's something I could do. But yeah, like if you enjoyed this, Click the buttons. We didn't manage to do it last year, but this year, let's get to 50 subs. Fuck it. Let's get to 50 subs by the time our 3rd anniversary comes around. I think that's doable. We've got 3-4 months for that, so 5 subs in 4 months. Let's do it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm gonna get some rest and, come to think of it, watch some wrestling. See ya.